Okay, chapter 32 is called Miracles. The last chapter, chapter 31, was titled A Bittersweet Day because she kind of understood that it was going to be a while until she made it home again. She had some visitors and she went to a botanical garden. But yeah, she kind of realized that she was going to be in Birmingham for quite a while. Chapter 32, Miracles. Finally, when I was released from the hospital and 2013 was off to a happy start, it was so good to be home with my family, even though this home was in an apartment in a tall building with an elevator. I would have given anything to be in our humble old house, tapping on the wall for Safina to come play, even taking the rubbish to the dump. But what really mattered was that we were finally together again. We went for walks in the brisk Birmingham air so I could get my strength back. But I tired quickly. Life in the hospital had been calm compared with all the people in cars and buses rushing here and there. And because I still couldn't hear properly, I was constantly turning this way and that to see what was going on. A simple trip to the grocery store could be overwhelming. Overwhelming and fascinating. In the cafes, we saw men and women chatting and mixing in a way that would have been unimaginable in SWAT. And in the shops, we saw clothing that showed so much skin, we couldn't believe the women of Birmingham could wear it without freezing. Here they wore tiny shorts, bare legs, and high heels even in the middle of winter. Are their legs made of iron so they don't feel the cold? Asked my mother. Sometimes, on those early outings, when I saw a man come toward me, I would flinch. If I let my imagination go wild, I could picture every man on the street hiding a gun, waiting to attack. I didn't tell my parents this, though, so they could at least enjoy the chilly Birmingham sights without worrying. I missed home terribly. I missed my school friends. I missed the mountains, the waterfall, the beautiful Swat River, and the lush green fields. I even missed the messy, chaotic streets of Mignora. So it came as hard news when I found out that there were people in Pakistan who were critical of me. People who said I was a pawn of the West, hobnobbing with Richard Holbrook. People who said I was a bad Muslim. People who even said that my father had shot me as a stunt so we could live overseas in luxury. The other news from home was from school. I was finally able to Skype with Moniba, and for once we didn't fight. She told me how much she missed me, and how no other girl could take my place in her heart. She also told me that Shazia and Kainat were recovered and back at school. And she told me my friends were still saving a seat in my class. Oh, by the way, she said, you scored a 100% on your Pakistani studies exam. That was the test I'd taken the morning of the shooting. That was the good news. The bad news? Since I hadn't been there to take the rest of the exams, my old rival, Malka-e-Noor, had come in first. Of course she did, since I was not there. I was falling behind at school. How ironic! The girl who campaigned for girls' education had lost the top spot in her class. Well, I would just have to redouble my efforts so I could take first position when I claimed that empty seat in my old classroom. Soon I could walk and talk and read, and my memory was coming back. But I couldn't hear well at all, and there was a constant ringing in my ear. The doctors were also concerned that replacing the piece of my skull stored in my tummy might cause an infection. So more surgery was scheduled. 3 operations all at once. This time the doctor performed a titanium cranioplasty, which is a fancy way of saying she put a titanium plate in my head. I wondered if I would be like the Tin Man in The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. If you knocked on my head, would it ring like a gong? In addition, the doctor who had repaired my facial nerve installed a tiny electronic sound transmitter called a cochlear implant deep behind my ear. Later he said he'd fit the outside piece of my ear with a receiver. The skull piece was also removed from its storage place. These were major operations, but I recovered quickly and was home in 5 days. Later, I received a truly special gift, that very skull piece encased in plastic. I keep it in my bedroom, and we have been known to show it to guests. So she got her actual piece of her skull. They put it in plastic and gave it to her. She likes to show it to guests. Sounds like something a teenager would do. A few weeks later, when the receiver was situated behind my ear, I heard a tiny beep, then another one. Then came the sound of the doctor's voice. At first, everyone sounded like a robot, but soon my hearing got better and better. How great God is! He has given us eyes to see the beauty of the world, hands to touch it, a nose to experience all its fragrance, and a heart to appreciate it all. But we don't realize how miraculous our senses are until we lose one. The return of my hearing was just one miracle. A Talib had fired 3 shots at point-blank range at 3 girls in a school bus, and none of us were killed. One person tried to silence me, and millions spoke out. Those were miracles too. And that ends chapter 32.